the edge of history, in the land where gods walked among men, a city stood that was destined to change the course of war and love forever. Troy, a name known across centuries, a city of wealth, of beauty, and of walls that seemed unbreakable. But in its heart was a deadly secret, and a love so fierce it would drive men to madness. This is the story of the Siege of Troy, a tale of gods and mortals, heroes and traitors, love and betrayal, where a wooden horse would bring the mightiest of empires to its knees, and a city's fate would be sealed in the ashes of war. Welcome to Legacy Unearthed, where the greatest legends come to life. Chapter 1. The glory of Troy, an ancient city, famed for its towering walls, the strongest ever built. Legend has it that the gods themselves favored this city. On the shores of the Aegean Sea, Troy was a beacon of power. King Priam, the ruler, had everything: riches, an empire, and a beautiful city that seemed impenetrable. But Troy's glory would be its downfall. For in the heart of this city, the seeds of war were already being sown. Chapter 2. The Golden Apple. The spark of the war. It all began with a simple dispute. At a wedding, the goddesses Hera, Athena, and Aphrodite were competing for the title of the fairest. The god Paris, Prince of Troy, was chosen to judge the contest. Each goddess offered him a gift, but Paris was swayed by Aphrodite's promise of the most beautiful woman in the world, Helen. But there was a problem. Helen was already married to Menelaus, the king of Sparta. With a simple decision, Paris ignited a chain of events that would lead to the greatest war the ancient world had ever seen. Chapter 3. The Trojan War begins. Paris took Helen back to Troy, and Menelaus demanded retribution. A Greek fleet, led by King Agamemnon, Menelaus's brother, set sail for Troy, and thus the Trojan War began. For 10 long years, the Greeks laid siege to Troy's mighty walls. But Troy would not fall. Troy stood strong. The gods themselves took sides, guiding heroes and armies. Achilles, the greatest of the Greeks, fought with unmatched fury. Hector, the noble prince of Troy, led his people with honor. But the war was not just about warriors. It was about gods and love, vengeance and pride. Chapter 4. The Heroes and the Gods. At the heart of the war were two figures, Achilles and Hector. Achilles, the son of the sea nymph Thetis, was a warrior unlike any other. His rage was legendary, but it was also his pride that led to his undoing. When Agamemnon took Achilles' slave woman, Briseis, the warrior withdrew from the fight, leaving the Greeks vulnerable. Meanwhile, Hector, son of King Priam, was the shield of Troy. Noble, brave, and wise, he defended his city with honor, even knowing the end was near. In a fateful duel, Hector faced Achilles and fell. But even in death, Hector's legacy would haunt the Greeks. Achilles, unable to resist his thirst for revenge, dragged Hector's body around the walls of Troy, showing the ultimate disrespect to the hero's memory. Chapter 5. The Fall of Troy. The Wooden Horse. After years of fruitless siege, the Greeks grew desperate. They needed a plan, a devious plan. And that's when Odysseus, the brilliant king of Ithaca, conceived a plot so cunning it would be remembered for centuries. The Greeks built a massive wooden horse, hollowed it out, and filled it with their best warriors. Then, they left the horse at the gates of Troy as a supposed offering to the gods, a symbol of their retreat. The Trojans, believing the Greeks had finally given up, brought the horse inside the city walls as a token of victory. They celebrated, but they did not know that inside the horse, the Greeks waited, biding their time. As night fell, the Greeks emerged from the horse, opened the gates for their army, and launched a surprise attack on Troy. The city was unprepared. The walls that had once seemed impenetrable fell, and Troy was destroyed. Chapter 6. The Aftermath. A city lost to time. The fall of Troy marked the end of an era. A city that had stood for so long was reduced to rubble. Its once proud towers crumbled into dust. For the Greeks, it was a victory, but at a cost. Many heroes were lost, and some, like Achilles, died before they could see the end of the war. Odysseus, forever remembered for his cunning, would not return home for another 10 years. He would face his own trials, but the story of Troy would forever shape him. As for the Trojans, their city may have fallen, but their legacy lived on. The story of their bravery, their passion, and their tragic end echoed through the ages. Legacy Unearthed. The story lives. On the Siege of Troy is more than just a story of war and love. It is a lesson in pride, in ambition, and in the consequences of choices. A wooden horse, the simplest of objects, became the tool of victory and defeat. The gods may have played their part, but it was the people who made the decisions. And like all wars, it was never just about conquest. It was about hearts broken, lives lost, and a legacy that would never be forgotten. This is Legacy Unearthed.